Alright everybody, welcome to another CryptoK video. Today we're talking about world mining. So if you guys follow my videos, you know I'm invested in a couple of different cloud mining platforms. World mining was brought to my attention by one of my followers, and I put a little money into it several days ago, and I've had a little time to dig around and research some things on world mining. And so I kind of want to share my results with you guys and see if this is an alternative to some of the other cloud mining services out there that seem to be popping up almost every day. So let's start taking a look. The first thing, let's take a look at their homepage. I want to point out a few things that I noticed. We'll start with the company documents in the About Us section. Some interesting thing, I haven't seen this on other world mining sites or other mining sites. So they seem to be a UK company, and they actually posted their company certificate, which you can look at yourself. Here it is, the company number. And sure, okay, yes, this could be a fake document, but to kind of help with that, they've also posted a link to a third-party verifying house, so you can see it's companieshouse.gov.uk. It's a government site for the UK, and you can see the same company number registered to a company called World Mining. Same address, incorporated in October 2017. So I don't think there's any doubting that the business exists. That's for sure. And they posted all those documents on their website, so that's nice also. That's a nice plus. Digging around, you can also look at all this stuff yourself. You don't have to have an account to see all this stuff. So if you go to About Us and Guarantees, there's a lot of information, this kind of some of the standard language you see on some of the other sites, but it is unique to World Mining. And they're just, talking about their service a little bit. What stood out to me on here, if you scroll down to section 6.2, it says here, regardless of the exchange rate and Bitcoin fluctuations, as well as the number of produced coins by the company, the participant receives percentage revenue in his contribution. There's some other language in here you can read through this that kind of covers how they work a little bit. But what I find unique about World Mining, and I haven't really found anywhere else, is that they don't pay you out in Bitcoin like many other mining sites do. Their twist is they pay you in US dollars. So I'll show you my account in just a minute and kind of show you what that means exactly. But it's a little bit of a unique twist I found with World Mining. If we continue on our homepage, if you look at let's see, home, and then our servers. So there's a little bit of information. Another little twist is that when you rent with them, what you're renting is server capacity, not necessarily hash rate, that they sell it in the value of hashes. So they claim to have 5 different types of server farms: Antminer S5, Avalon 6, Antminer S7, Antminer R4, and Antminer S9. The S9 pays the most, but it's a minimum $30,000 investment. And I mentioned on one of my earlier videos that it seemed that this server S5 was actually cheaper gigahash, but I actually believe I made a mistake in that video with the math, so I'll put a retraction on that video. But it really is the same cost on all options. It's about 15 cents per gigahash right now as of the making of this video, January 27, 2018, which works out to $150 per terahash. So that's a pretty good price compared to other sites. But if you look at this page also, a couple of things to keep in mind is not all these rental periods are the same for each server that you rent from. So for instance, Antminer S5 is 360-day contract. Antminer S7 would be a 280-day contract. So you got to keep an eye on that. But running the numbers again, unless you got $30,000 to drop on an S9, that seems to be the most profitable per terahash. The next best thing would be still this Avalon S6 package, the server S2. As long as you have at least $100 or so to drop on it, or excuse me, 150, you'll get your 1 terahash, which is the package I did, and I'll show you kind of how that pays out in just a minute. But if you run the numbers, it's about a 4.5 month ROI. So basically, a third of the year you'll be earning your money back, and the last 2/3 of the year, or the 360 days, not quite a year, which should be all profit. Another thing to keep in mind is that World Mining has no fees on any of these. So they don't charge you like a lot of the other sites like Hashflare, Hashzone. There's no fees to rent. So you get all of that US dollar value back. And I'll show you why that US dollar word is important. But a couple more things before we dig into the actual account that you should be aware of. If we look at the support page in this technical part, justification, they're kind of just covering some of the basics about Bitcoin, how mining works, and all that kind of stuff. And so I've seen on some other videos and websites where this particular picture, this mining picture, is actually from Shutterstock. And here it is on Shutterstock, that exact same image. You can buy it. And there's actually other pictures of that same area on Shutterstock, this farm. So this particular picture is definitely not World Mining. But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, because all these other pictures on this page are obviously stock images, and they just use another stock image to try to explain what mining is. So in other words, they aren't actually claiming this is their site, or this is their farm. They're just this page is all about, like I said, explaining how mining works. So I'm not sure it's not a positive or negative in my opinion, that particular image. But what is something you should consider is back on the home page. If you look at this video about their farm, and this is freely available on YouTube, and you go to about 30 seconds, let's jump there now, you can see there's a World Mining logo in the video. And also, as this video turns a corner, a guy working on this is a live video that was taken at a farm. So lots of, looks like ant miners and other types of miners. It's hard to tell from this far back in the video, but it's definitely a mining farm. And in this mining farm, there are World Mining logos in there, which is pretty good evidence to me that this is at least at one point was a World Mining farm. So that's pretty good news. I definitely don't see that on mining sites, not even on Hashflare, for instance. A lot of people trust Hashflare, but there's no video that I've seen of anything like this. So that helps validate that they do actually have a farm. It's a pretty big farm, it looks like. And I did some screen captures trying to find pictures of this anywhere else on the internet. Actually, I just paused it, but if you look, you can see there's another World Mining logo here. So there's actually two World Mining logos in this video. So that's pretty interesting. So it's something worth considering, that as far as whether they're a legitimate company or not. So we've covered kind of the main things on their site. You can certainly dig around yourself and see if those are things that stood out to me. But there's a lot of information on their site. But if we run into the user account, and I'll show you my account now. Here we go. So this is my account. You can see I purchased a terahash. My profit is $6.86 so far. Not any big numbers, but like I said, I'm just testing it out. I dropped the minimum in here, $150. But one thing to keep in mind about the sign up process, and I'll kind of show a little bit of information about that, is when you sign up, let's go to the buy hash, you have a lot of options actually. Once you choose the plan you want, and unless, like again, I would recommend S2 unless you're going to drop 30 grand in here. You actually you can pay in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Monero, and credit cards, and a couple of other Perfect Money, Advanced Cash, etc. type payment sites. So a lot of options. That's pretty good. That helps. So you'll have that ability too when you sign up for your plan. But when I did this, when I signed up, it took, I paid in Litecoin. I like to pay in Litecoin because low transfer fees. Bitcoin transfer fees have dropped significantly in the last month, but they're still not as cheap as Litecoin. So I still recommend Litecoin payments. And I did that. So I paid with Litecoin. I watched and I got my 6 confirmations and nothing happened. So I emailed support, and here is their response. And you can see I emailed them on January 22nd, and they wrote back to me on January 22nd. It was probably 5 minutes or so later. I was asking them, hey, I paid, but I didn't get my, nothing, and it was, I got all my confirmations, but nothing happened. And they wrote back almost immediately saying, expect the funds received and transferred to our account. Don't worry. In this link, please wait. And if you go to the link they sent me, you can see here's my transaction ID, and they that they could see on their end, and the note that says funds received and confirmed, sent to you shortly. So that's pretty good support, if you ask me. I was actually honestly not expecting an email back, but they wrote back almost immediately. So that was good. That was a nice plus also in their column from my perspective. So they have good support as far as I can tell, responsive support, which is great in this world of cloud mining. Not all sites respond like this. So that's good, but there was a couple of, and so to finish that up, at about 30 minutes later, it did show up in my account finally. So just be patient if you're signing up. It'll pop up in your account. Give it maybe an hour after all the confirmations, and it'll show up in your account. And that was a positive. One of the negatives I noticed is that they did send my password back to me in plain text after I signed up, which is certainly a security concern. So I recommend if you're going to sign up World Mining, as soon as you get that email about your password with your password in it, to log in and then immediately change your password. Delete that email and change your password. So just be wary of that. I really don't like when people email me my passwords in plain text. That's a big no-no in my book. Also, there's no two-factor authentication, something to keep in mind, but they do use a CAPTCHA type system for logging in and creating accounts. So another thing to keep in mind, I really am, being a security guy, I really appreciate two-factor authentication on the sites that use it. So hopefully they'll add that at some point soon, but it's not enough to keep, it's a consideration, but not enough to keep me from thinking about actually investing. You can see I already did invest 1 terahash. Another thing to keep in mind is they only do withdrawals on Mondays and Thursdays. So if I withdraw my $6 right now, I would not get it. Today is actually Saturday, so I would not get it, and the withdrawal would not process until Monday. So I will do a withdrawal on Monday and follow up and let you guys know. And then, so how do they pay you? That's kind of the most interesting thing that I feel like. So if you once you have an account, if you go into your account and look at your operations area, after you've run it for a few days, you can see my whole history right here. So I bought Hashrate. You can see I paid $150 for it. Day one, I got $1.10 because it was a partial day. And then since then, I've gotten exactly $1.44, $1.44, $1.44, $1.44 every day, and it hasn't changed. My balance has not changed in dollars. So they're going to, if I never buy any more hash rate for the entire life of this contract, I will get $1.44 every single day for 360 days, no matter what happens with the price of Bitcoin. So that's interesting. Many sites like Hashflare, as the price of Bitcoin goes up and down, your dollar amount value in your mining wallet goes up and down. That won't happen with World Mining. So that's kind of a good and a bad thing. So what actually happens is, for instance, right now I have $6.86. You can see in my balance up here, and it also shows what that is in Bitcoin. So as the value of Bitcoin goes up and down, it's this Bitcoin value that goes up and down in my wallet, not the dollar amount. So this always matches. And if the price goes up and I refresh this page, it'll still say 686, but the number of Bitcoin I get for that will be less. So hopefully that makes sense. That's a big difference from other mining sites. So what does that mean exactly? So if you're the kind of person who is betting against Bitcoin going up in price, then World Mining might be good for you, because even if the Bitcoin price plummets to zero, they will still be paying me $1.44 per day because I'm renting their server. I'm not renting mining capability. So it's a kind of a different mining solution than others out there. So hopefully, but again, if the price goes up, which a lot of people think the price will go up, I will still only get $1.44 per day. So ups and downs don't really matter in World Mining on the price of Bitcoin. You will get exactly that amount for the rest of your period. So that's kind of the point. So that's it. So I guess the question is, would I invest? The answer is, I think it's a good alternate investment. It would not be the only thing I would invest in. I personally believe the price of Bitcoin will go up. So some of the other mining sites that I'm invested in, like Hashflare and Cryptera, those the value of what they're mining in there will go up as long as they continue to pay out in Bitcoin. So I think it's to hash all your bets. I'm a big fan of diversifying. I think it's a good idea to maybe have a little money on or a site like World Mining, as well as ones that pay out in Bitcoin, just to make sure you cover all bases. So that's what I would recommend. Again, don't ever put all your eggs in one basket, and don't ever invest money you can't afford to lose. Everything I'm having in my mining sites is play money. If it all disappears tomorrow, I'll be just fine. So that's what I think. Hopefully you guys got some information out of this video that helped you decide on whether to go with World Mining or not. If I didn't answer your questions in this video, please ask other questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge. And that's it, you guys. So don't forget to subscribe and like if you're enjoying these videos, and stay safe out there.